Well, a couple of really interesting observations about the lawn. There's a couple things. Number one, where it's been mowed the lowest, it looks the best. So if you look behind me, we've got this kind of brownish area down here, and then we've got this real dark green area up here. Well, the dark green area is where I've actually been mowing all the way down to a ½ inch every single day. I got a couple theories about that. If we get in here real close, you take a look, you can see these brown woody stems, okay, that come off of all of the Kentucky bluegrass. The only way to clean these up is either to come through here with a scarificer, or, like I've done right here, mow it down super short, because then that takes those down a little bit lower. It allows the green to come up through it. I don't think it comes through real well on the camera, but right through here, I mowed this down 4 days ago, and it's recovered really well. So you have to remember that the height of cut is, it must be 1 inch versus a ½ inch. And as I cut it down to a ½ inch, it is low. I think if it were super hot out, it would be a little bit stressful for it because it is a cool season grass. But right now, you've also got to remember that we just overseeded. So what we're doing is we're pumping a lot of water. We've got great nutrients on this. And temporarily, this had a little bit of stress. But let's see if we can look back here. Now, there you go. You can see the stripe through it. Now it's starting to get darker. Okay, and you can see the lighter on this side, the lighter on this side. Shockingly, the grass that is doing the best, or that looks the best, is the grass that has been most consistently mowed the shortest. So as I look across this, you can see some decent stripes. What I am curious about is, what if I take the whole thing down to a ½ inch, push a lot of water on that, and then let that come back? You know, let it grow up a little bit taller, go back to 1 inch, but just cut it down to a ½ inch, which is going to be a lot of material, and just see what happens. Now, I think here, this is kind of interesting. Nope. We had a heavy rain last night, and I've been watching to see if we're going to get any type of fungus pressure on this grass. And so far, we haven't had any pressure at all. One of the things that is a little bit difficult for me right now is to keep this irrigated in a pretty uniform way, because I'm dragging hoses. Some things get dried out on occasion. So for example, this corner leaves a little bit to be desired, but it's the furthest away and it doesn't really meet up. Now here's another thing that's really interesting. All of this area where it was empty is filling in. What's it filling in with? Well, it's filling in with a dark green grass. Got all of these baby grass shoots coming up. Those are rye. Okay, so the rye is going to be, especially during hot temperatures, it's going to be much darker than the Kentucky bluegrass. That's part of the reason that this Gulf green area looks so much better, is that I've overseeded this pretty heavily with rye a couple different times. The other thing too is that your seeding rates with rye are pretty high. It's a pretty dense grass. It's not going to spread like your Kentucky bluegrass, but it is going to fill in here and look really, really nice. Stripes beautifully. You can see that dark color compared to the lighter green of the Kentucky bluegrass. Get in here a little bit more, you can see. And right now, the other thing, I think the last thing that I'm going to talk about that's starting to get very interesting to me, early in the year, is having a lot of weed pressure. A lot of weed pressure from thistles, specifically. And I've knocked those back twice with a little bit of quinclorac tenacity and 2,4-D. And you can see we're down to not a whole lot. And maybe if I go back to the video previous in the year, you can see just how much weed pressure there was. But if I look at the rest of the yard, we're getting to the point where there's very little weed pressure. Part of that is the grass is starting to get super tight, and the grass itself will outcompete weeds as long as it is healthy and it covers the ground. You got to remember, Mother Nature doesn't like to be naked. So in the areas that she is naked, she's going to fill it in with whatever has the greatest opportunity. And usually that's some type of weed or like a rough grass. Okay, so in this scenario, things are coming around. Just wanted to give you a little update on what I'm seeing on the lawn.